I'm going to call the meeting of Middleton Plan Commission for December 13, 2022 to order. And first item is the roll call.
Bruce,
Here.
Harp,
Here.
Erdman Hermans,
Here.
Ramsey,
Here.
Slavish, and Mayor Brower is present. Schaefer is absent and excused.
Oh, great. Okay, so the next item is the approval of the minutes. Need a motion to approve.
Bruce will move approval.
Slavish will second.
Okay. Any changes, questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor of the approval of the minutes of November 22nd, 2022, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we are on to the agenda item number 1, set a public hearing date of 1/10/23 for resolution petitioning the Wisconsin Secretary of Transportation for airport improvement aid. Need a motion to set the public hearing date of January 10th, 2023.
Ramsey will make the motion to set the hearing date for January 10th, 2023 at 7 PM.
Okay, need a second?
Erdman Herman, second.
Okay. Any questions or comments? It's simply adding to the items to get the funding from the BOAs and through BOA from FAA. So, okay, any questions or comments? Abby, do you want to say anything?
No, I'll just note that this, we will bring forward the resolution for the hearing where the projects and the cost estimates will be listed. This hearing requires a Class 1 notice, which means it needs to be published in the local newspaper 10 days in advance of the hearing date. So we'll make sure to meet the deadline for that because I know the newspaper has changed their deadlines around the holidays. So we'll be sure to get that submitted on time, but otherwise the discussion can happen on January 10th.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Otherwise, all those in favor of the motion to set a public hearing date of January 10th at 7 p.m. for resolution petitioning the Wisconsin Secretary of Transportation for airport improvement aid, which is essentially to fix the runway, not to elongate it. Say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We are on to sign design review of Lake Ridge Bank 8301 University Avenue. So, Daphne, you want?
Yeah, sure. So this is, they're just replacing existing signage for these banks, and they're bringing a lot of the monument signs, or for this one on University Avenue, they're just replacing exactly where it is. There is an easement that is like pretty close. It's about a foot or two away from this monument sign. So I'm recommending approval contingent on them ensuring that, you know, the sign is outside of the easement.
Okay. So, well, you have all read this, so need a motion to approve. I actually would say that I have looked at the colors. They look a lot better now. This is a, blue is the background, just like ocean or sky. And so I was looking at why the other sign looked brown. That's at night. So I think even at night you can read it. So I think to me it looks very impressive. I think it's a good change. So since they have more letters there, so it is smaller than the cross planes, but otherwise looks good. So need a motion to approve, and then we will have a discussion.
Bruce will move approval.
Need a second.
Slavish will second.
Okay. So, and the motion is contingent on what Daphne said. So, okay. So, any questions or comments? I think sign looks good. Just essentially changing from the Cross Plains Bank to Lake Ridge Bank. So I had some notes here that colors look great, dark blue and white. And the two backgrounds are just, different colors at night. Okay,
Could I ask a quick
Yeah,
question?
go ahead.
Is anything changing with the message center or any of the original contingencies of approval when the changeable copy portion of the sign was approved? Yes.
Yes, please.
Got it. All right. My name is Drew. I'm with Sign Art Studio. We are the vendor who has handled the design of these sign concepts and the implementation, not only in this location, but across quite a few locations. As far as regarding the existing message center, we intend to use it exactly as it is currently used. So no updates that are going to be made towards that.
Any other questions for Drew while he got up and got everything ready to answer?
While I have you there, it looks like it's made of wood composite. Does that mean it's maintenance-free and will always retain this color?
It is an aluminum composite, actually. It's an ACM, yes, with a wood aesthetic, yes. Yeah,
Thank you.
no worries.
So is the, on the submittal, you've got a time of day put on there. Is that the same message board that's there now?
It is the
size,
same, yes, it is the same message board. We intend to remove it off of the existing sign when we complete the demolition and attach it to our brand-new sign before install.
How did you decide that green and blue looks nice the way it flows, right?
It looks great. Yeah, we actually worked directly with Lake Ridge. They came to us with their name, and we developed a sign family based off of that. It was a fun process, and it has been a fun process implementing it across the board. Yeah, the wood. I mean, we were just in Monona last night, and the wood against the nature just looks so good.
Okay. Any other questions for Drew while he's here? Okay, otherwise, all those in favor of the motion to approve the sign design review for Lake Ridge Bank at 8301 University Avenue, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. You can keep standing there, or there's another one coming for you. so-
There is another one, yes.
So the next one is sign design review for Lake Ridge Bank, 3207 Parmenter Street. So Daphne, you're
Aye.
up again.
Yeah, so this is, the same bank, going in on the old Monona Bank on Parmenter Street. They are bringing the monument sign into compliance with our sign code. And then on this one, I believe the current sign is in an easement, a utility easement, but there's plenty of space to just move it, 2 or 3 feet to the right. And so Drew has said he's fine with doing that as well. And they'll send over a site plan as well to confirm that it's out of the easement.
So we want to make sure that that happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, meaning to the east?
Yes, to the east, yeah.
Okay, need a motion.
Slavish will make a motion.
Okay, need a second.
Harp, second.
Okay, okay.
Harp, second.
Okay, all right. Now, any further questions or comments to Drew while he's nice and warm in his good coat there? So-
I am very warm, thank you.
Well, do you have any questions for the commissioners?
I do have a question regarding the current placement, because yes, we did discuss that, and we will, of course, follow whatever the determination is here. They are fairly keen regarding exposure of maintaining the existing location. I just wonder if there is any flexibility, while I know the existing sign is in an easement, I wonder if there's any flexibility regarding the placement of just putting it exactly where the current one is. And I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
No, yeah, so I think we would have to talk to our Public Works Department, and, if it just says like a general utility easement, so I'm not too sure if it's like electrical or whatever is in there. But if they determine that, the sign can stay where it is, we would just need to sign, like an easement agreement with you guys or with Lake Ridge Bank. And so that would be a little bit additional process, but it could be possible. We would just have to discuss it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Any other questions for Drew? So you will make sure you work with Daphne and the Public Works, otherwise we are approving the way it's recommended by the staff. Okay,
Should Mike amend his motion so that it doesn't have to come back here again?
Yes, I think it would be appropriate to approve sign design review as recommended with the understanding that if the Public Works staff approves the placement within the easement, then we would work with Drew and Sign Art to come up with an easement encroachment agreement, I think is the template that we have. So,
Yeah, I'm fine with that amendment.
okay, and
Barb, second.
Okay. Okay, well, all right. All those in favor of the motion for sign design review for Lake Ridge Bank, 3207 Parmenter Street as modified in the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are on to item number 4. Now, this is a big thing. We are talking about Tribeca JTK. Boy, the whole family is here. This is so this is the special implementation plan modification for sign design review for JTK Tribeca Village 3809 Tribeca Drive. Daphne.
Yes, so they are proposing to remove 10 parking spaces that were in this southern area here to provide a dog park and a fire pit / grill area. We did put in our comments to extend this sidewalk, and today I received the revised plan, so they are showing this new sidewalk that connects with this northern side, so there is a better connection to Parmenter Street. And yeah, staff recommends approval as a minor modification.
Okay, so, well, who is going to answer the question, the younger one or? All right. So, few questions here. One is the dog park, that would be fenced in? Okay. And I'm really happy you have playground, so that is pretty important. And any questions from the commissioners? Go ahead.
Can you describe what kind of fence will be used for the dog park?
So I believe the fence will be higher than a normal fence since it's right along the road. I can't remember which height we decided it would be at. If it'd be 8 foot?
No,
Or, I
think
mean,
it's just it'll be like an aluminum probably, whatever the height, I don't know if it's 6 foot or whatever, but, it'll look like the railings.
So like a wrought iron fence?
No,
But-
not like a rod iron, like your aluminum railings, it'd be like an aluminum.
So kind of a horizontal element?
Yeah. We've used those like at playgrounds before too.
What color are you thinking?
Black.
Okay, any other questions? So I like this, I guess the fire part and the grill, that would be great for the residents there. That's good too. The changes which you are making, they all look great. So it will be properly landscaped, and they took care of that sidewalk issue. And then you had one other issue, Daphne, that's handled as well, or
The sidewalk issue was the main.
that was the main one?
Yeah, the main comment that
Okay.
Public Works and Planning had.
Okay, well,
Comment. Being somebody with a very small dog that's able to squeeze under the fences at the current county dog parks, would there be a way that the commissioners would be amenable to approving maybe chain link in the bottom portion, that it can be down into the ground for the small dogs not to escape into the parking lot?
Yeah, I think we could agree on something like that.
I don't know how that works in with our ordinances for a small amount of enclosure at the bottom.
It's up to the discretion of the plan commission during design review. What you could do is amend, the motion to include that design review would be handled for the fence by staff because we don't have a design before us. And that it should include, I don't know if you want 2 feet of impermeable fencing in the bottom. I'm not sure how to, how to state that, but 2 feet with a tighter link so that smaller animals can't get out.
Seems like maybe we need a design review anyway, since it's about a fence and we're a little bit not sure about what that looks like with the rest of the property.
But you would think that if somebody brought a dog, you know, how much people have invested in that dog. I mean, we had a little dog, and the possibility of that dog, you know, escaping anywhere was pretty remote. But that is a good idea that you want to make sure that, you know, that the dog doesn't go to the parking lot. So.
Would staff feel comfortable working with the applicant on design review? I think the plan looks great, and I think it's improvement to the approved plan, as long as we can get everyone satisfied. And I think that you made some good comments about smaller dogs. I've got a small dog too, so they are slippery.
Like a kind of a chain link fence with like a plastic coating over it that you can get in black, maybe. I mean, I haven't really looked at
Yeah.
what they do for dog stuff, but I mean, we wanted to kind of like get lost and look good. So I think what we'll pick will be something you guys.
Well, work with the staff. So otherwise, there is a, you know, dog park for the small dogs on that, the dog park which is on Highway Q. So you can go and look at it, so what they have, so.
You could also screen that area with some grasses or other small plants easily too.
Yeah, you definitely don't want the dog to escape and then get hurt. That would be a bad news, so. Okay, so need a motion.
Commissioner Bruce will move for approval.
Need a second.
Slavish will second.
Okay. Any questions or comments now? And this is that you will work with the staff, all those, everything else is included in that motion, so. To make sure that those small dogs stay in, so.
This is a nice improvement.
Yes. No, I like this. It's going to be, well, the playground was there before too, but I think it adds a nice touch there. And I think removing those 10 parking lots, and I looked at the ratio, it really doesn't impact anything. And he had experience from his Meadow Ridge, so I think looks okay to me, so.
I just want to say that I really appreciate you guys including a fire pit and a dog park to make the whole space more self-contained and allowing our residents to be just more not using their cars to do daily things. And I love the inclusion of these different types of community spaces, so thank you guys.
And you will make sure that's, well, I'm sure you will make sure that that place is clean, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and all those in favor of the motion for approving the specific implementation plan modification for design review for JTK Tribeca Village 3809 Tribeca Drive with all the modifications added, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Wow, well, okay, so that was, go ahead and make things happen, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on to the last item, item number 5, 2022 annual report for the City of Middleton Comprehensive Plan. Abby, you are up, and you know what I wrote in my notes? Wow, great job. And that's true. I actually, you know, went through, she has, she has provided those details for each of the chapters, and then each of the goals which she had set out in those. And I saw some of the zeros, and I did ask her, and then there are also threes too, so including the Stonehorse Green. I'm very impressed, but I will let Abby do the talking now. So.
Well, appreciate the compliment, but I have to give credit to Daphne because she's the person who laid out the spreadsheet with all of the actions and also did the initial assignment of where we're at within each of the action steps. So this is the first time that we've done an annual report for our city's comprehensive plan. We didn't do one in 2021 because the plan was approved in spring of 2021, so we didn't really have a whole lot of time to make progress. As a reminder, the plan is a 20-year vision to the future, and all of the categories all of the action steps are categorized into short, medium, and long-term goals, with long-term being 10 plus years. So there are some zeros included in the spreadsheet. That's to be expected because we can't do everything all at once, and this is just about a little over a year and a half into having the plan approved. The initial plan included a section on implementation, which had 5 ways we anticipated implementing the plan. One was we wanted to create a prioritization of the action steps. That's an area where we would like to have feedback from the Plan Commission and also the Common Council, especially in the spring when we look to update the plan. So if there are items that maybe should take a bit of a back seat and that the Plan Commission and the Council would like staff to focus on, tackling some other actions sooner, we can include that and look at that with the update. It also includes an annual report, which is really important because we want the plan to remain a living document. Every local government has plans that sit on the shelf. We've really tried to use this plan, look at it as we're meeting with the development community. We pull out the future land use map in every meeting that we have, talking about how properties are going to change over time. So we want to make sure that it still is current and reflective of the city's goals. And then we need to do periodic amendments. We've already had one amendment to the future land use map to one particular property. And then step 4 is we need to have regular reviews, which we outlined as probably once every 5 years. We're actually going to be recommending a full regular review in the spring. The primary reason for that is implementation step number 5, which is consistency. There are certain ordinances that by state law have to be consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, and one of them is the zoning ordinance. And we were pretty specific in some of the recommendations that we included in the comprehensive plan regarding the zoning ordinance. We have a draft of the ordinance now, and part of our initial review was to look at the language really carefully and see if the current draft that we have, at least at a staff level, been working on, whether they meet the specifications that were outlined in the comprehensive plan. There is at least one area where we know that we're going to be proposing a change, and that is that we had some language in there that said we would allow, I think it was recycling and composting facilities in every commercial and industrial district as a conditional use. And right now, we are recommending that those are allowed in most of the commercial and industrial, but we were very specific that it was going to be allowed in all. We will eventually be bringing forward some reasoning, working with our consultants for why we're proposing that we wouldn't allow those as a conditional use in every district. We don't really know at this point all of the changes that are going to be coming forward with the comp plan related to the zoning ordinance because we haven't circulated the ordinance to committees yet, but we want to wait until we're targeting the update for March, April, assuming that we're going to be far enough along at that point with circulating the ordinance to the committees that we're going to have a handle on where we're going with things and what needs to be changed. There are some other reasons aside from the zoning ordinance that needs to be consistent that we're recommending updates. One is completed actions, so things like the University Avenue corridor plan, the complete streets policy, those we've completed, they've been approved by the city, and now we need to move to implementation of those. Another is some additions that we've kind of been tracking as we've been working with the plan. We've thought of new ways that we could improve it. One idea that I'm not sure if I've brought forward to the Plan Commission yet is that we have some older corridor plans that are on the books now, like the Parmenter corridor plan, that maybe isn't really reflective of the city's vision or goals anymore. But we don't really have a process for deaccessioning old plans or taking them off the books. We worked with the City of Madison and City of Fitchburg, and it seems that it's pretty uncommon for communities to do that because generally speaking, they would prioritize updating that corridor plan. So they would have a new version that would come and that would serve as the update. So the deaccessioning policy does not seem to be widely used, but we don't have a goal or an action in the plan to update the Parmenter corridor plan. So if we're not going to do it, we need to have, I think, a process for how we deaccession old plans, and instead we can keep them as historic documents, but instead recommend that anyone who's interested in doing a project in that area would instead follow the comprehensive plan that is more up to date. And then we also have several corrections that we've been tracking, omissions and errors. They are pretty minor overall. One example of an omission is that we have an action in there related to needing to update the lighting ordinance, but we didn't put that into a prioritization category. So I know that that's something that at least one alderperson is very interested in, and when we looked through the plan, we realized that it's not really prioritized, and we want to make sure that we have those listed there. So that's kind of the summary. Really what I was hoping to use this annual report for was just to kick off the thinking of the Plan Commission and then also the City Council about any other changes that you want to be making to the plan.
Okay, we got a lot of time now to questions for Abby. I know she got, I actually went through these, so. And there are a lot of things here, 16 pages, so. So the first here is that I'm glad you told me about the zoning rewrite. It will be March, April. And so I know it has been there for a while, so what's taking that long?
It's a pretty complicated project. It's a lengthy legal document that we at least now have a full draft that has been reviewed by all three of us in our department, and we have sent it over to our city attorney to take an initial look. The zoning ordinance rewrite committee has also met a couple of times and provided some guidance on some of the policy issues, but we need to get it back before the rewrite committee as well to have them review it.
That's a big thing. I mean, that's going to impact the,
Yep.
The zoning part in a big way, so.
Yep.
Any questions for Abby or Daphne or Mark, though he isn't here?
You'd mentioned the older corridor plans and, maybe deactivating them. I know that the University Avenue corridor plan was a big work effort, but is it possible for us to update some of those older plans rather than just let them go? I think that there's a lot of value in that, in the corridor plans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that probably it is possible. We probably would need to get some assistance, outside assistance. We did have help with the University Avenue corridor plan, so it's a matter of submitting a budget request and seeing if it makes it through the city's budget process. But we certainly could go that route instead to try to update those.
I think there'd be a lot of value in it, personally.
Any more questions for Abby or Daphne? I like this for many reasons. I have seen a lot of reports, they sit on the shelves. And I won't name any departments, but, once they're adopted, okay, they think that once the plan is adopted, the job is done. And that's only the beginning, right? So,
Yeah, and this, this is normal, Abby, what you're, as an example, the Parmenter corridor plan, the fact that maybe it needs to be updated. For those of us who work in development, we run across this all the time. One of the projects that we're working on in the city of Madison, their neighborhood plan hadn't been touched for over 20 years. And so it happens, and there's a need to do that. And I think it's just a matter of prioritizing dollars to help in doing that. And it seems to me like Parmenter, like University, also a major corridor here in the city that sometime here in the near future, if that has not been updated, that that council could prioritize, dollars available to do that at some point, using outside assistance to help, just like we did with University Avenue corridor.
Well, I certainly like the idea of pulling an old plan off the shelf and reworking it rather than starting all over.
Of course, yes, of course.
So, I mean, it absolutely makes sense to pull them off and update it.
Yep.
don't want to start from scratch again.
Yeah, there's,
No.
Taxpayers' money went into it, so,
yeah, we invested a lot. Let's
yes.
get as much use out of it as possible.
So I can see we have a lot of zeros in the transportation, but that is, I guess, the nature of it, because we are dependent on Madison Metro, I suppose, so.
Do you want to scroll to the transportation part, Daphne? Yeah, so I think one of the areas where we've made substantial progress is with the Complete Streets policy getting approved and shepherded. The Bike Ped Transit Committee met on last night, and it was the first time, to my knowledge, where they had the 5-year street plan where Public Works is doing their planning to look at roads that are going to be reconstructed, and then asking the Bike Ped Committee to give input for changes that should be made as part of those reconstruction projects. So that's something that I think, that's just something that we really should be doing every year on a regular schedule. And that's
Next year, we're gonna be sure that we do that earlier in the process when the plan comes out, because by the time we got it this year, there really wasn't, the budget had been set, and there really wasn't a whole lot of change
right.
that we're gonna be able to make. But the point is that moving forward, bike and ped and transportation will have more of an opportunity to weigh in so that it gets, it goes to the budget processing with those specific designs in it.
That's a great point. The best practice would be when Public Works Committee is approving a new update to the 5-year plan, they would just refer it to Ped Bike for.
And they don't even, you don't have to wait till it's approved. They should get it to when it's in draft form, so Bike and Ped can start working on it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think this year when we put it on the agenda, we realized, we're really late in the game, because they're talking about going out for a design, and they need to and then going out for bid soon. So that I think will be a huge improvement. I'm just kind of quickly looking through. We did a lot of work with Madison Metro on the redesign, and Daphne staffed the ad hoc circulator committee that met. We did not make any progress with B-Cycle, but it wasn't for not trying. We submitted budget requests 2 years in a row, and they were denied.
Well, it's a hard thing to do because, we are dependent on somebody else, Madison Metro, so, in a big way, so. No, I can understand it, so. Any other questions for Abby or Daphne, or any other points, or?
Could you go to the housing section for a moment? There was a couple of items that related to some assistance to to home ownership for moderate income or some assistance there, both the down payment assistance, and there are a couple of tasks there. I gotta see if I can get.
So
to
there's 5B, reestablish a
Yep.
down payment assistance program.
That one was one, and I guess the other one was the partner with Habitat for Humanity and moving out. And just wanted to know if there's anything that the Plan Commission could do to help move that along. And I don't know where this sits in their priorities,
Yep.
but it seems like if there's anything that we could do to move that forward,
Yeah,
I'd like to see it.
the Workforce Housing Committee did a pretty deep dive into homeownership, and it happened after this plan was approved. So actually I hope that that's already on the list, and if it's not, I'll add it, is that those recommendations that came out of that study should be also included in here as actions. I think that those were put into the strategic plan that the city recently approved. I don't know if we have any specific projects at this point, so we've outlined some ideas, but we haven't really made any progress toward projects. We haven't had any funding source identified for down payment assistance. It used to be funded through the CDA. So they did, I think, about 15 loans, and then they discontinued the program.
See, at that time, they would pay about $15,000 as a down payment, and that was substantial. Now, $15,000 isn't going to get you anywhere, so. So considering the prices, and then the CDA has only so much money, and so I think when we close TIF, would be the time to get more money into CDA so that they can start that program. But I think that was a great program. It did help 15 people, so,
Yeah, and then under homeownership, 5C was to form a community land trust, and that's where you take the cost of the land out of the housing costs, so someone can still purchase a unit and own their own unit, but they do not own the land that their home sits on. So they are still able to have the benefit of building equity, but there is a cap that's placed on the resale price so that the unit remains affordable long-term. We had some discussion with the Madison Area Community Land Trust, and they do consider themselves to be a Dane County-wide organization. They're interested in working with other communities, but right now all of their units are located in the city of Madison. And we had an individual who donated some property to the city. He is a former Plan Commission member, Leaf Hubbard, and he wanted us to work with the Community Land Trust for affordable housing, which is still in the plan, but it's a long-term goal because there's a deed restriction on the property that doesn't allow anything beyond one single-family home to be built on the land for a period of 30 years. So we're only 1 year into that. So that's not really going to be a great option in the short term. We have also had some conversations, and I know there are a couple of city council members who were interested in seeing whether a community land trust could be formed as part of the community campus plan to incorporate affordable housing into whatever we do with the city buildings. And we are really working hard on that plan again. We kind of put it on hold during the pandemic. So we went dark for a couple years, but we are back and working on trying to come up with the solution for the land that the city owns downtown and how we want to use it long term. So it's possible that affordable housing could be a component of that too.
But Mike and Bruce, the land is maybe 10% of the cost, or how much? I mean, the building cost has gone up so much now, isn't it?
Yeah, in Dane County, you're probably 20 to 25% is your land cost
Oh, okay.
for the entire purchase price. And it varies depending on which community you're in.
Okay, any more questions or comments or suggestions how Abby and her department can do better? Even better, better than wow and a great job.
It was pretty impressive to read the document, really was. It was I was kind of blown away.
So Abby, Daphne, I'm just curious, so given that this was recently adopted, within the last 2 years, with some of the new projects that we've seen that have come after this, like the Red Tail, I can't remember Kathleen's development up on
Yep.
Parment.
Yeah, Bell
Farm.
Farms, yes.
Are you, even the downtown campus plan, are you running into any inconsistencies or problems with the comprehensive plan relative to some of those larger, kind of all-inclusive? Just curious.
I would say that, in my opinion, the hardest one has been the complete neighborhood portion, which I would not recommend that we loosen up the language around that. It basically says every new subdivision that's platted will be a complete neighborhood that not only will provide housing, but it will also have services so that residents have something that they can access within walking distance. That was not an issue with the Bell Farm project at all. I think that was part of the developer's vision from the get-go. I think that with the acre development, they have more concerns around the viability of commercial in that location. And so they've really condensed the commercial component that makes it a complete neighborhood. I would also say that there is quite a bit of pressure on Tribeca, which I think the Plan Commission has already seen that before them over time, where that was proposed initially as a mixed-use development and really vibrant, complete neighborhood, but all we have seen that has been constructed in Tribeca so far is housing. So that's kind of been slowly scaled back, and I think it started with one of Terrence Wall's buildings where there was supposed to be ground floor retail with residential above, and it came through the approval process, so we've kind of walked that mixed use aspect back in that area. So I think that's probably the toughest thing for some of these neighborhoods to satisfy.
More questions. I would like the playgrounds. I think all these developments have children. They need something there. So if that could be somehow always handled well. And the other is learning center. Some of the parents don't have the cars. They can come to the downtown here. You need something there where the kids can have books. They can learn something. I guess. That's how you form the well-informed communities. Those kids make their friendship on playground, learning center, and they will make lifelong friendships. So, any other suggestions, comments? Otherwise, well, this was just for input. Need a motion to adjourn unless you have some good stories to tell. Okay, I will go ahead and second it. And any questions or comments? Otherwise, all those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So we are adjourned.